The subtle breeze blowing over a scenic Idaho prairie rustles a myriad of maize. A seasonal sound so sweet.
I can't imagine raising my kids any other way than what I've done.
A homegrown nod toward the template of self-sustaining. Because the dairy, it's dependent daily, a year-round operation.
When you have a connection to the land or you have a connection to livestock, it's more than a job, it's a life.
One this Idaho farmer's fueled
And
for 3 generations.
there isn't a single job that I ask any of the guys to do that I or my dad or my son wouldn't do in their stead. I've used the same employees, the same family. The core of my group of employees have had with me for over 20 years.
To protect his employees from any possible repercussions, we chose to keep this conversation anonymous.
I mean, in the 20 plus years that we have used the H-2A program, I have had one American applicant that has come to me for a job. And once they got on farm, they worked one day and never showed up again.
The H-2A program. Congress created it in 1986 as part of the Immigration Reform and Control Act. It's a seasonal work visa program for unfilled agriculture jobs, naturally posing a perpetual problem.
So with a dairy that's year-round, you need year-round employees. You can't have your guys going home the 15th of November and then not able to come back up until February or March. What do you do in the interim 4 months? It's untenable that way.
With a tenable solution in high demand.
We all recognize the system is broken and we need to fix it.
Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson
Yeah.
spent years pitching answers.
If you're a dairyman or a cattle rancher, those cows need to be milked every day. It's not seasonal. I heard the other night 6,000 openings in the dairy industry, and they had 3 applicants that were Americans for those 6,000 jobs.
Is that in Idaho specifically?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a huge issue.
But drawing little interest in a solution. Out of sight, out of mind. But the Idaho Dairymen's Association has nothing to hide.
Yeah, 90% of our workforce is foreign-born, and we're sitting without a visa program, so that's going to tell you a lot about the legal status of our average dairy worker.
Rick Nairbout's the IDA's CEO.
Yeah.
That's just the reality you guys are working through?
Yeah, and have been for 30 years.
Passed in '86, it's been untouched by Congress for decades. No updates, no changes, but not for a lack of trying.
We almost had it done on the omnibus last year, but we just couldn't get it across the finish line, so we're trying again this year.
Simpson calls his legislation the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. The bipartisan bill aims to provide documentation for the undocumented agriculture workers already in the states, to provide year-round visas for future H-2A agriculture workers, and for those who choose to provide a pathway toward citizenship.
So it would be probably, they tell me, 18 years before anybody would become citizens, but 90% of those people that I talk to, citizenship is not the big thing, they just want to work. And they're working in jobs that Americans won't fill.
I imagine there's some people that would disagree with that and say they came here illegally, I don't want them here anymore. Where you're coming at it from a standpoint of, this is an important backbone to our workforce.
Absolutely, and if, you know, some people have said to me, well, let's just deport them all because they came illegally. Maybe you could do that, but if you could, how much are you willing to pay for milk? How much are you willing to pay for any other commodity? I'm talking huge increases in the cost.
But the barriers barring this bill are built at the border. Bad actors, traffickers, cartels, they're all contributing to the connotation of immigration.
And until you can control that border, you're going to have a tough time passing anything that has the word immigration attached to it. And that's unfortunate. That's the political environment that we're in.
Political to the point where the U.S. Senate hasn't even voted on Simpson's bill. The House passed it twice.
Can Idaho's dairy industry exist without undocumented workers?
No. Current state of play, without access to a visa program, we would not be able to milk cows and do the day-to-day business of dairy without the Hispanic workforce that's here today.
The very workforce Idaho's economy depends on every single day. The same workforce the U.S. immigration system refuses to accept.
As far as I understand, every one of my workers is legal to be here. We collect taxes on everybody that works for us. Those taxes are paid to the government. And if there's something wrong with the paperwork, that's on the government side for them to figure it out.
Don't ask, don't tell. It's not a problem unless you make it one.
They like to come to work and they like to go fish. And that's the two things that they do. They don't get in trouble, there's no problem with them. And then they go home, they finally have to have a touchback. And then they can't come back up. And they ask me, hey, can you bring me up through the H2A? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot.
A skilled worker taken from a local family business for seeing their own family back home.
Politics aside, I'm tired of hearing the rhetoric, you know.
The reality of 30 years, going just where the wind blows.
You talk to the left, and the left says it's the right. You talk to the right says it's the left. There's always a sticking point. That's the biggest problem with politics across the board. There is no common ground. Nobody wants to work together.
Hidden in the crevices of a Canyon County ridge, a missing woman's life was left up to Eddie.
Now we're doing this.
And Chase.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Work partners and hunters.
We don't come out here in the winter. There's no reason for us suicides to look.
And they couldn't believe what?
There's a car down here.
Or who?
Right down in the little crevice.
They'd found.
In the corner, in the tumbleweeds. And we climbed down, did a little investigation in the car, and that's when we found Penny's information. I put Penny's name, Penny K. Clark, in on Facebook. And that's when it popped up. We found Penny K. Clark's car, a missing woman.
A 72-year-old woman having no recent contact with her family.
It was days. There's no question about it, it was days.
Canyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue had already been looking for Penny.
No one would have looked here, really. There'd be no reason to look here.
No reason to be there at all.
So we were, out under those clouds, and we decided to just make a random turn and get out, come back out this way. And this is where we ended up, and it all makes sense.
Eddie and Chase called 911, explaining the car, the crash, the scene.
And then one of the officers looks past the car with the binoculars and sees part of her and sees her moving her extremities.
You know, me and Chase were in the truck filling out reports, and one of the cops yelled, "Penny!"
Good Lord, not only have we found her, she's still alive.
With help from Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, they trekked Penny off the ridge and flew her to a nearby hospital.
No broken bones. You know, she was just cold, hungry, and tired. And I can't say enough what a miracle that is, you know?
In my experience, this is a less than 1% chance of surviving this. God had a different plan.
Multiple agencies coordinated the rescue, but the highest-ranking law enforcement officer in the county knows where to direct praise.
They're the true heroes here. They really are. They're the ones that saved this woman's life.
But Eddie and Chase?
And just...
they don't need the credit.
I don't know. Kind of lost for words.
They already got the payment of a lifetime.
And Penny's daughter arrived on scene when Penny got down to the ambulance. She said, "I never thought listening to my mom snore in a hospital bed would be the best Christmas present, you know, to receive, and I hope your Christmas is just as special as this." It really hit home.
The inmates in Idaho's maximum security prison spend 23 hours a day, every day, locked in a cell, seemingly little to look forward.
Especially in a place like this.
But there's a countdown to this day.
We all like cookies, right?
Cookies?
Merry Christmas, brother. God bless.
Christmas cookies.
Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Dave Browning's a familiar face, dealing out more than a decade of weekly visits.
Merry Christmas. Coming in as chaplain was probably the best thing because I got to talk to everybody.
At least to those.
Hey, Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys.
Who want to talk back.
So I appreciate you.
No, it's good stuff. Merry Christmas.
You have a good one.
Mark Rennick's not known to be shy.
Merry Christmas, sir, okay?
He accepted the olive branch decades ago.
That's how I met Mark, yep.
Through the Christmas cookie cart.
Thank you, Merry Christmas.
Between a locked door.
I robbed a dry cleaners. It's who I take my clothes to now.
Mark got 20 years, with 7 fixed.
I was just drunk and, you know.
He's sober now and released 13 years ago. But he still remembers it's not even about the cookies.
Merry Christmas.
It's about what the cookies said.
It's knowing that somebody really cares out, that remembers who you are and that you're out here. You know, us men don't share our emotions that well. We kind of hide it, put on a tough guy kind of scenario. But in truth, this is a pretty powerful thing to do for people.
Merry Christmas.
It's a powerful message to send.
In one of the bags, there was a little note, and it said, it was from a kid written in Crayola, and it said, Jesus loves you.
Do you believe that?
I do. Can't forget that, you know?
There's a past in these walls they'd all like to forget.
I ended up with a murder case, so.
A past they can't change.
You know, it's just negativity and getting into that lifestyle, and you could lose your life quick, you know?
But their future, that's in their control.
Merry Christmas.
It's maybe just a cookie away.
I wanted to help him, so that's what we did.
Dave hired Mark after his release.
No, in retrospect, it was huge. It was nice of him to take me on.
Prisons are often equated to nothing more than a punishment.
You know, you aren't going to believe it, but it was a blessing for me. You know, my life needed to be changed.
Merry Christmas.
But reformation,
God bless you.
that takes compassion.
Yeah.
And a pinch of humility.
Tatted up teddy bear.
Merry Christmas.
Here,
Happy holidays and God bless.
the proof is in the cookies.
Well, they're all residents that are going to return to the community. And people like this guy have to hire people like me and make that transition. So it's
Merry Christmas.
It's very powerful.
Merry Christmas.